Hi, everyone. I'd like to talk a little bit to you about what is the real racism facing our country today, and a racism that for some reason we aren't being told about and we aren't talking about. Our racism of today is the racism of the Great Society of the 60s that had wonderful slogans, yet put black people, and as their numbers increased, brown people, and as always, poor white people on new plantations that were first found in inner cities that were of despair and desperation, but have now extended well beyond city borders. How many people, how can so many people be subjugated and kept on these plantations? There has to be new masters. Who are they? There may not be any whips and chains that are keeping people on these new plantations, but they are still being kept under their masters' thumbs. By this time, by the racist chains of dependency and low expectations. And the new racists can keep adding to the slave base by creating more and more dependency from the programs that they themselves champion. They champion these programs as a way to solve the problems, and yet they're programs that actually add to the problems. Because after a few generations, the new slaves have grown so dependent that they can't expect anything better, and their hopes and dreams are relegated to maybe getting a new, bigger program. If you add to the racism of dependency, the racism of low expectations, and even more slaves are made. If the best you can expect of yourself and the best you can expect for your children is more help in the form of more programs, then you have virtually no expectations of a brighter future. These plantations have spread throughout our nation and can be found in many areas that have been economically forgotten for generations. Our new slavery comes in many colors. However, there is one other big difference, and that is the color of the masters. You see, now the masters include people of color who, like their white colleagues, are more concerned about their own power and wealth than actually solving anything. How does the new class of masters keep things under control? First, make the dependency a necessity for people to be able to survive. It's not enough to advance, it's not enough to have any hopes or dreams. It's simply enough to survive, and you're dependent on them. Next, let's start to perpetuate racial strife. You see, they can't afford to let people realize who is really at fault for their conditions. So we will have blacks hating whites, who hate blacks, who hate brown, who also hate white people, who hate them back. As long as we can keep the new slaves pointing their fingers at each other, they won't look at the real reasons for their subjugation. All people have similar, simple dreams: to be free, to be treated equally, and to have the chance for their children to do better than they did. All people, regardless of color, want to strive for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Doesn't that ring a bell to anybody? Regardless of your skin color, all we all want is to strive for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the government that was set up by our founding fathers allows this to be a possibility. It allows this to be a hope for everyone. But it'll never come to fruition as long as we continue to point fingers at each other and we use race as the dividing line, as opposed to turning our eyes onto the new masters and taking them down as opposed to keeping each other down. Please know that nothing is achievable until we all band together, and we do that. Thank you very much for listening.